Last Friday was the deadline to file nominations for 2022 municipal elections, including Barrie City Council and Simcoe County District School Board. Barrie is going to elect another white male as the next mayor because there are no female, BIPOC, or LGBTQ2S+ candidates running. Natalie Harris was only woman candidate in the race before she withdrew. Residents of 2 wards, at least, will not get to exercise their democratic right, as Ward 5 Councillor Robert Thompson and Ward 7 Councillor Gary Harvey are elected unopposed. There is no one running against them. So I have with me today to talk about what needs to be done to increase diversity and participation especially in local elections. I have with me Shelly Skinner. She's an activist and community leader. She's also the president of Uplift Black organization. Thank you so much for joining me, Shelly. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Deepak, for having me again on Barrie Community Media. Yeah, it's been quite the, it's been unfortunate to see how things are moving along locally when it comes to the diversity of the candidates running. And I think I have a lot to say about why that is, being as someone who ran in the 2018 municipal elections as a racialized and queer person. There were a lot of barriers. And so I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that because I would love to see change. I'd love to see change around here. And I think that there should be a better understanding of the active work that needs to be done in order for us to truly see that change happening organically. And in the meantime, we need to be active co-conspirators in that change to make that happen. And so that is finding those candidates and supporting them now, in a real way in order for them to be ready, both emotionally, financially, and successfully, so that they can actually, win that seat, not just run for the sake of running, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. So what was your experience when you ran into 2018, and what were the challenges that you faced as a BIPOC, a Black woman in Barrie?
Absolutely. So some of the barriers and the experiences that I had, not all were bad. So I want to make it clear that I do not regret running at all. And a lot of the work that I'm doing now with Uplift Black is rooted in those experiences. And so, it has been, it's been a huge part of my journey, and then my journey within creating, real systemic change here. But where the issue lies, I think, when it comes to having members specifically within, racialized and LGBTQ communities, those who are living with disabilities, is the support from the community ahead of time. Because when you look and you see that the consistent truth is that white cis men get voted in, to actively step out there and put yourself out there for a job that isn't guaranteed, that requires months of preparation, that requires you to raise money just in order to be to have the ability to run for that job, that position, right? So much goes into that, and there's only a few privileged people who are able to do that without it affecting their daily lives. And so the support needs to come from in a holistic way, where we support this person in all aspects of their lives, and so that they can have the strength to run successfully. And so what does that look like? It looks like keeping people housed, keeping people fed, creating visibility, It means support in a way that allows them to, to get meaningful work, or at least, have income that is stable, so that they can make some of these decisions. As in order to be successful, to win any campaign, normally, it does take a lot of time, and this job is part-time. If you're looking for municipal elections, this job is part-time, which means that it's not going to sustain you as a sustainable income in order for you to have your basic living needs covered. So that's also a barrier, something to consider, because you need to be available to do that work while still doing whatever work that you need to do to pay your bills, right? So these are all things that make it really difficult for members of these communities, because they're equity seeking already, because they're marginalized already. And so there is so much emotional and work that goes into making this step. And when you're already dealing with discrimination and limited access to the things that can help you live a holistic, happy, healthy life, then yeah, it's going to be really difficult for you to step into this place so that you can be more actively involved in the political areas that support this community. And it's unfortunate. It's such an unfortunate thing. And I think that from my experience, I always say I can't personally tell somebody that they should run unless they are equipped to do so. It doesn't matter who they are. I would want to know that they have the mental health support, that they have canvassing support, that they have financial backing, that they have, that they've got stability in other areas of their lives in order to do this, that they have the tools that they need. It takes a lot. You need to be your own marketing professional. You need to have an idea, especially if you don't have the extra funds to pay for these professionals to help you with communication and to help you prepare for these debates. It's not something that is typically readily available for us as everyday citizens, that kind of knowledge. So having that team who steps in to help you is also really important. And that it takes time to create a successful candidate. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that we can expect from our community by just saying we need to see visibility, right? We need to see the support that helps that move along, that helps that to be actually, it moves it into actuality, moves it into something that we can actually see in the community. We still have so many other institutions and areas within here that are struggling to, see, visible and clear diversity from equity-seeking groups within their space, and that includes not only, our government, but also our school systems, our school institutions. Like when we look around and we see, not a lot of educators within Simcoe County who are racialized, or who are living with, a disability, who are out as a member of the 2SLATB community. So we're already struggling there. And that's just, so think about our youth. How can they see themselves in leadership? If they can't even look to within their school grounds and see what that looks like in truth. So we're struggling from the time our kids enter into school because there's no visibility there. So that is like, these are the areas that we need to start seeing the change in order for real systemic change to happen in our community. And as much as I would like to see that happen overnight, and I think that I was naive to believe in the younger years that I would see this change happen just like that, just because I was loud and just because I said so. It doesn't happen that way, and there are a lot of people who don't want to see that change, and they're actively fighting against it. And so, and a lot of those people have money and power and influence. And so that also makes it really challenging. So we need our co-conspirators, we need our allies to step into that advocacy, to get out there, not just to fund, because as important as that is, it's to actually like physically do the work of showing up. And that's really important as well. And so that we feel supported when we're in this work, right? We also need to really be mindful of like how we can get these members of our community out there so that they're known, so that they can be trusted because they see their face, right? So we need to create opportunities for them to be community builders, to to be mentors, to be the people that our youth can see. And we need to build that within our youth as well, so that they can step out there and take that position of leadership and be powerful and have a voice. So we need to amplify those voices.
Yeah, you raised so many interesting and valid points. One of them was about the financing, right? A lot of people I see on, even Mayor G. Playman, he ran a business before becoming the councillor and the mayor. There are other people, mostly white male, who run businesses, and this is a part-time job, so they can manage their own business, and they can also run for the council, be a councillor. But other people don't have that privilege. Most of them, as you said, have full-time jobs, so they can't just have some part-time job that support them and work at the council at the same time. So there is a need to have a better structure that can support people who are coming into, other than traditional, the political system we see in North America, which favors typical white male to be part of the system.
Absolutely. I think about standard barriers to getting out there and canvassing. If you're someone who needs a mobile assisted device in order to get around, there are so many barriers to just that specific very real need within a campaign, to get out there and meet people and shake their hand and let them get to know you and have those conversations. If you can't even get in the building, if you can't even get to the door, right, then that's going to be, that's going to make it. So that's where you need that team, right, to get out there and open those doors for you and step into those places. And then when they're in those spaces, advocate and speak up as to why, why you need to choose this specific candidate, because this candidate truly understands how the need of the community, from a very different lens and a very different experience that most of us, so therefore it's probably relatively ignored what their needs are. And this is a whole population of people within our community that are ignored and do not see themselves within these spaces. So like I just think of like just that particular barrier, that stops us seeing that type of visibility. And it's unfortunate, because from my experience, it is those who are the most equity seeking, who have the most brilliant and life-changing ideas and what we can do to truly make this a community that everyone feels welcome and safe and supported and heard and sees, and they can see themselves in. I think that is what makes a community the most vibrant and the most exciting to be part of. And I want to see that happen. But it's going to take some work, and a lot of that work, I want to give real ways, get involved in local community action groups, show up at events, donate your time, donate your money, really question, write to the leaders in your community and ask them to make more visible steps towards seeing, equitable change. It's lobbying. There's so much work that needs to be done in order to make that happen. And I know I'm really just speaking mostly from the municipal elections, as that was my experience, but we know that, running, in provincial or federal is also, a very difficult thing to be successful in. And so that takes a lot out of you as well. And I know that I typically look around and wonder who, you know, when we look at the numbers and we look at, you know, who gets voted in versus who doesn't, it's going to take, you know, quite the loud effort from the community and a lot of support behind a candidate that fits outside what we normally see as political leaders in our community. We have to actively support those, and we need to find them. We need to find those individuals. They're out there, they are interested. They just need to know that they're supported. And so that is getting involved in that in ways in order for them to feel supported, like supporting their businesses, you know, supporting, you know, their community events, supporting cultural events. And so that we could see that as diverse individuals, as racialized individuals, that we matter in the community.
And I also relate with the point you said, you know, like when you were young, you know, you wanted to make change, and once you have good ideas about, you know, making world better place for everyone, and you believe like these ideas, everyone should believe in these ideas. But as you go around and as you see, there are people, as you said, actively fighting not to make world better place for everyone. And I see that in you know, in council meetings and in you know, in neighborhood meetings, that people, Barrie residents, they come on these meetings and, you know, they say, oh, in the last 2 years, Barrie has changed so much. You know, it was so nice before, because there are a lot of you know, people, diverse people are coming in, and I see people they are so upset that they are almost ready to break down, because there is more diversity. So they feel so passionately about having the same city for the centuries, that not having different people coming in. And this is so stunning that they have such a strong emotion for you know, those bigoted ideas, and that makes you you know, definitely you know, scared living in Barrie. And at the same time, you also mentioned about the diversity in schools, you know, when it comes to educators. And everybody knows in North America, you know, whether it was when we were living in Boston or in Barrie, most of the educators are, you know, suburban white female. That's the demographic. And you see, and my son goes to school here, and what I see, that they want to help you, but their idea of helping is, so they don't have that understanding, they don't have that background. So when they are coming to help you, they are actually not helping. I think the first step they need to
They
do
don't
in
have
order
the
to help
cultural
is,
awareness.
yeah, they need to listen, you know, they need to learn more about different culture, about the history. And there are so many you know, things different that, you know, my wife and I, you know, we faced same challenges here in school, and we don't know how to communicate. And then we have to start right from the, you know, the history of, you know, where we come from, history of colonization, and all those, the language and the culture. And that's very big challenge when, you know, when you are dealing and that was very different when we were living in Mississauga, where there is, you know, a lot of racialized and, you know, diverse community, versus, you know, doing that doing that in Barrie. And I see in the Simcoe County school boards, I think there's only one woman, Lisa Marie Wilson, a Black woman who is running, and I think she also ran as a Liberal candidate in the last federal election. So other than that, I don't see any you know, any non-white person running in the Simcoe County School Board, or even in Barrie Council. I think Shaxwell, Shanika Edwards, she's the only candidate. She's running for Ward 2. But other than that, I don't see much diversity in both of these elections.
Yeah, it's definitely Lisa and Shaq are definitely great candidates to put your support behind. So I really do recommend that you do so in any way that you can. So that's a call out. If you really want to see change, then you need to get out and support these candidates. We need women, we need racialized women in these spaces. It is imperative if we're going to actually work towards a more equitable community that is safe. And in order for us to truly understand the needs of our community, we need to see that represented in the people who are making decisions for us. And that can happen if we only have one particular type of lens. So yeah, I'm hoping to see some changes. I'm always hopeful. Otherwise, I wouldn't continue to do this work. It wouldn't make any sense for me to continue. But I have seen, it's been a 10 years that I've been in this community, and I have seen changes, and I have seen more people step into that co-conspirator role and moving from that allyship and making those decisions to be actively involved and seeing that change happen. And so we just got to keep going, and we got to start creating, a lot more opportunities for racialized, gender diverse people with disabilities to be able to get out there and be successful in their run for political office.
And also one, again, going back to the school district, late last year, in one of the Simcoe County schools, Black students were bullied, abused, called the N-word. Action was taken only against one student, and that student was suspended only for a day. And so I hope, there are more diverse candidates, or even candidates who having, more understanding of, diversity in Barrie and the world, get elected to the school board and to the council. So what you think needs to be, actively done to change, the understanding, and, change the course of actions, whether it's school board or other institutions in Barrie?
Yeah, education. That's the beginning. If you don't know what you don't know. And so Uplift Black does cultural awareness education when it comes to dealing with the Black community, so anti-Black racism education. We do education when it comes to working with the 2S LGBTQIA community with that BIPOC focus, and with that general understanding that even within the 2S LGBTQ community, there is racial discrimination. So we need to have that understanding as well when we're doing any of our education and trainings. And that helps. There are definitely other communities that are out there offering cultural awareness training. And so that's really important, because without that, you cannot be culturally competent to serve these communities, safely and without harm. So that's a huge thing. And so that takes time. We can't do that performatively. We need to find the right people who are gonna not only educate us, but hold us accountable, because accountability is really important. And we need to, make sure that we're decentering ourselves from that work, and just recognizing that it's a system. It's more than the individual. And so in order to break that system, it takes community action, right? And community involvement, and that unlearning, and recognizing where you may have been the problem in order to move forward in a positive way. So that's really one of the first steps. Visibility and showing up. So creating visibility, stepping down or aside where needed to amplify the voices of those who are normally unheard. And that could look like many different things, but it's just basically understanding that you might be in a position that you're holding that should be given to someone who may need more of a voice. And so what can you do to put somebody in that position from those communities? and you know, showing up at different cultural events and things that are happening in your community, supporting these communities, so that you're getting to know members of those communities, and you can be you know, be part of that community, and have a better understanding of what those community needs are. And you know, those are just, you know, some simple ways of really, you know, stepping into a space of sort of seeing some change happen. A lot of that is also funding. If you're a business owner, if you're someone who's privileged enough to have you know, extra money at the end of the year to donate, you know, then look at these different equity seeking communities within your local community, you know, in order to support them. And I really believe in local community action. You know, if everybody, you know, looks after their own backyard, then we will see global change, right? It's just inevitable. So, you know, obviously we have to be, you know, very aware of what's happening to us, you know, right across the globe, and what we can do to serve these communities outside of our community. But we can't be servicing these communities outside of our community if we're not servicing them here. Just, you know, and so that's really important. You know, look to your neighbor, and you know, what are their experiences like? Really try to understand everyone's perspective, and recognize that, you know, diversity is a fact, inclusion is not. But you know, but bringing in those diverse voices is probably the most impactful and powerful thing you can do within a space where you are making, you know, where you have the influence to make change.
So have you worked, I was just curious, have you worked with any organizations uh, in Barrie, let's say, school board or any other organization in order to help them understand diversity and inclusion?
Absolutely. We've been fortunate enough to work with some incredible organization institutions. So we've done work within the Simcoe County District School Board. We've worked with and educated the Ontario Secondary Teachers Federation, the Elementary Teachers Federation we've done education for. We've worked with different community organizations providing education and consulting. We've been lucky enough to have some strong supporters like the Henry Burning Entrepreneurship Center and United Way, who have stepped in to help us, you know, move forward with our programming. And so we're really grateful for that. We have seen an increase of those just community members who are looking to participate in different programming. So that's been really exciting to see. But really, you know, we're recently just started training the Ontario Trillium Foundation on anti-Black racism. And so, you know, they're a huge funder of community organizations within Ontario, and to choose Uplift Black for that training is you know, just, you know, it really, you know, speaks to the impact of the work that we're having. And so we're definitely seeing both a local, a provincial, and national, you know, support and interest in some of the work that we're doing. And so it's just to continue to fight to see those changes. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what happened in the future. I do want to make a shout out to the town of Innisfil. They have really stepped up in a way that I wasn't expecting when it came to working within our communities, and having a better sense of how they can be more supportive. They've taken a number of trainings with Uplift Black. They contact us, both the town of Innisfil and the Innisfil Library are constantly in contact on how they can work with us or create more visibility. So it's been great to see a specific, I would say they are probably the one township within Simcoe County, you know, region within our Simcoe County region that has been actively out there to see how they can make some changes and to work with our organization. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful to see that, as somebody who lives in Innisfil now, it's really nice to see my community. And I'll tell you, since COVID, the amount of racialized folks that have moved to the Innisfil community, specifically Alcona, I mean, I walk around and I see racialized kids everywhere. But I also am really, really aware on the fact that, of what that systemic racism looks like and how it's still is pretty prevalent in our community. And so I'm constantly, concerned about how they're being supported. And so that's it's been really imperative that I get involved and I'm part of the committees and ways to kind of bring that visibility and that voice forward. So it's been it is great to see some of those big changes happening and that there are some people who are just out there and they just get it. They just get it.
Yeah, and you mentioned about, there is within the LGBTQ2S community, there is, you can see there's a discrimination among different groups, but even it comes to BIPOC community, we can see that as well. Especially when it comes to Black and Indigenous people, they they face more discrimination when it comes, we're talking about the BIPOC community. And speaking myself as coming from South Asia, I have seen that as well, that people, Black people and Indigenous people are stigmatized more. They face racism more, and they see less lack of opportunities compared to other BIPOC community. So we also need to be aware about that as well, that not everyone within the BIPOC community is on equal footing.
Absolutely. And it's good that you mentioned it because Uplift Black recognizes that truth. I've been involved in the LGBTQ community and the advocacy for that community for 10 years. And I still struggle to see visibility from Black and brown bodies within that community, stepping into leadership or having the ability to be seen. And so with that recognition, we created what's called Proud by Uplift Black, and it's a specific program that supports the BIPOC members of the LGBTQ community here, giving them opportunities to build leadership skills, to become mentors, to create visibility. And so we just did a call for youth within between 13 and 17, as we're creating like a youth change makers group where we're going to work with members of the BIPOC to LGBTQ community and find out what are their needs. How do they want to support? What can we do to support them? And help them create programs that support their needs in the community and give them, the professional development and the skill sets that they need so that they can be successful, so that other youth and other people in our community can see that visibility and know that they too matter, and that there are opportunities for them as well.
Yeah, and very interesting point about BIPOC community within LGBTQ, and we all know Bruce McArthur case. You can see in Toronto, this 60-plus-year-old man, he serial killer, he kidnapped and abused and killed so many his victims were non-white gay men, because
mostly Black and brown.
Mostly Black and brown. And we also know the stigma in this community about being a gay, and the policing aspect as well. So there are multiple aspects: the family aspect, but also the policing aspect, which continually ignored this person. Did not focus on that particular case. This person could have been in jail a long time back. So when it comes to policing, I believe there's still not that much understanding that how these communities are more vulnerable compared to the white community. So I'm glad you are doing education part on that aspect as well, because we need to recognize that that more. And I recently read an article that so many parents from the US, they send their kids. I forget the name of the country in Africa, but their gay kids, they send them back, you know, to make them straight. And then, they were the victim of the system. They have been abused, and so government is, also need to be aware without just entering into these families and destroying the families, but also need to aware about there's this aspect uh, as well. And they need to do better. Other than involving police all the time, they need to involve the social workers and have that kind of support system for these people.
100%. And you really nailed something there. First, like, it's called conversion therapy. So they sent these queer and trans youth to to these spaces. Like in Canada, conversion therapy is banned, right? And so you can't send your kids to that. But we have to be hyper aware that there are definitely organizations out there who are still doing this work and doing it under the guise of of many different things. But so we have to be very aware of that. But when you said that they were sending their kids to Africa, as a Black person, one of the things that was super important to me as a queer Black person was to make sure that Uplift Black was rooted in that inclusivity and in that support for that community. Because if we look at some of the most dangerous places in the world for 2SLGTB community that have the most dangerous laws and that are discriminatory of that community, a lot of those are Black countries, Black and brown countries. And so we do have a lot of immigration here from these countries, so that mindset may not be or that unlearning may not have been done when they come to this country, even though we've done a lot of work to become more inclusive and to educate ourselves and educate our youth. And there's, we're definitely seeing more employee resource groups and recognizing the need to be more inclusive. We have that barrier because we now need to educate those who haven't lived in a country that has our human rights laws and expectations. We need to make sure that they understand so that they're not harming, and that if their youth are queer or trans, they have the support that they need, even if they're not getting it at home. So it's really important that we were rooted in that kind of inclusivity and that support for that in particular, because we know that there are a lot of Black and brown youth out there that do not have 2SLGTB queer trans support at all. Or even visibility. So it's really important that we do that. In doing so, we take a risk because queer phobia and transphobia exists. And so we have seen some barriers to success based on that. Because like I said, Black and brown communities are still struggling to be more inclusive, supportive to the 2SLGTB community here. So we have some work on that area, and so Uplift Black is creating this programming and Created Proud to create that visibility, awareness, and support. And so I think it's really important that we recognize if you don't have that true understanding, you may think that these two things are the same. And so for myself, growing up in a West Indian family who still had, some negative or, discriminatory, ideas about the 2SLGTB community, I never really felt safe truly being out. Tested my sexuality with different members of my family, and some were really great and really supportive, some not so much. And so for me, because of that understanding, that cultural understanding of the discrimination that still exists within these countries, you know, I pulled myself away from my Black community, and because I didn't feel like I could be Black and queer at the same time. I didn't know that that was a possibility. And so part of my journey has been to rediscover my Blackness and recognize that that is something that I can be proud of, as well as my queer identity, and those things are important. You know, so that's that, you know, I want to see and be that change for other youth out there who may have had my similar experience. You know, and in order to make that, to see that real support and change within even our communities as Black and brown people.
Yeah, and we shouldn't forget that most of the laws, you know, the discriminatory, anti LGBTQ law in these countries are colonial law. Like India, before British came to India, India did not have any such law. So Britain started this law. They criminalized, you know, homosexuality in India, and so many other countries in the world. So they also need to be aware. You know, Canada was and is part of, you know, the Crown and the British Empire. So they need to understand that that's their legacy as well. You know, they have to take the blame. So this country didn't evolve in the last, you know, decades, and one of the major reasons is the lack of education that was there. You know, whether it's India, whether when British left India, you know, the literacy rate was somewhere, you know, less than 10%. So they did not educate these people. The only job was to extract the resources from these countries, you know, whether India or Africa, you know, Kenya, South Africa, from these countries. So you know, when you know, I hear you know, white people saying that, you know, there are problems in this, you know, the countries that you come from. I said, yeah, there are problems, but you also need to understand, you know, where these problems come from. You know, I know these countries, you know, are the major source
Yeah.
of problems in the developing, in the underdeveloped countries. So that's that's very. But thank you so much for, you know, sharing those experiences, because I think this is very important to speak against the injustices in our own communities as well. Otherwise we are just, you know, politicizing the issues and going after, you know, white people all the time. But the last thing I want to know is, you know, the plans. What are your plans, you know, for our upcoming months, upcoming year, especially the new school year?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we'll continue doing our education sessions within the school boards. We have different programs for right from grade 3 to grade 12 that speaks about, you know, understanding the Black student experience and working towards systemic change, and what other youth can do within their areas of influence to be part of that change. We will continue our education with any staff or faculty that we can get in and in front of. We are starting our youth program. Youth by Uplift Black is a program that we launched back in the springtime, and so we'll be starting that 10-week program again in the fall. We also have our Accelerate Your Black Business plan starter program. It's like a mentorship program where we help you know, different new businesses or even established businesses create their business plan, an effective and impactful business plan, so that they can get out in front of funders and get that extra investment money that they need in order to have these successful businesses. And it also helps them through this program just to get to know their community more and learn more about research. And they're doing this from the guidance and the support of other Black leaders who could help them through that cultural awareness, cultural competent lens. We also have, you know, we're going to be doing that program with our BIPOC to LGBTQ youth. So the call's out now. We're looking for youth to get involved in that. One thing I wanted to say is that you do not have to be publicly involved in this group. So if you are someone who's in the closet, it is okay. You know that you can come to Uplift Black, and we will create that safe space for you. And so get involved, reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk to you and help you get rooted and supported in this community. We also have a professional development creative studio that we've created up in our space, and so that would be open to creators and leaders and entrepreneurs to come and use our space in order to uplift their businesses, and that can be from recording equipment, photography equipment, design equipment. We've got all the programs available here, because I know that can be really expensive to access some of these programs. So we'll have it here at the space, and so we're really excited about that launching in the fall as well. So lots of cool stuff, lots of cool stuff happening. Next year we're going to be working towards creating an annual event in recognition for the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Transphobia, and it's going to be really important that we spread that message, within our area of influence in our community, and so that will be a active event that's coming up, and we're just building that planning committee now to make that event happen in May. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's great. And as a parent, as a resident who lives, in Simcoe County School District Board, what can I do? For example, if I want Uplift Black to come to the school where my son goes, Codrington High School. So how can I approach the school? How can I approach you so they can have the training from Uplift Black?
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, just recommend us. Get out there and let them know that you have interest in having Uplift Black involved in your school, in your workplace, any area in your community organization that you might be working with, cultural organization that you might be working with. Reach out and let them know that Uplift Black is here, and we're looking to collaborate and work together. We're really excited to continue this work, but we need, our advocates out there letting everybody know that we're here, because it really is, the most impactful when it's people in our community who have used our support services, who are connected with us, who are recommending us, and it's what helped us move forward successfully. It's with that kind of with that amplifying voice of saying, this is a community organization that you just need to support. These are people that you need to be contacting to get your your equity, diversity, inclusion education. Just letting people know that we're here, and so that we can be rooted and we can stay here.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Shelly, for your time and your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.